Hello, everyone. Today I have with me Leanne Clarkson, who is a master practitioner in clinical counseling, a certified couples counselor, and specializes in relationship counseling in the Greater Vancouver area. The topic we are exploring today is the effect of wealth on relationships. Now, throughout my career in the wealth management industry, I've had the privilege of working with families, and they've welcomed me into their own unique family dynamics. And because of that, I have assessed that we all have our own personal relationships with money. And because of that, we bring that mentality into our relationships with others. That is something I've always wanted to explore, a topic of interest for me, and I know it is a topic of interest for a lot of other people. So here I have Leanne Clarkson, an expert on the matter, to shed some light on this topic. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, Josephine. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with just a key question of how does one's relationship with money form?
Yeah, my experience is that we all come out of our family of origin with a blueprint. And there are four categories in that follow under a blueprint. And those are saver, the spender, the money monk, and the ostrich. And so we might have one dominant and then one secondary that is not so dominant that we follow. And so an ostrich would be somebody that doesn't want to look at their bills, puts their head in the sand, is irresponsible. A monk might be somebody who doesn't care about money and ignores it, and doesn't think that there's any, that money just doesn't matter. And then the spender is pretty obvious. They're very much, whether they spend out of their means or whether they just like to spend, and then the saver. And so we usually pick unconsciously from one or both parents, the model, what they're modeling to us in our family of origin.
Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense. And now that you've explained all the different personality types of how we deal with money and how we interact with money, how do you think that affects one's perspective of other people and their perspective of the world in general?
I think it's more to do with our values and how those were created, how we see other people in the world, like judgmenting or comparing ourselves to others, whether it's I feel better than or I feel less than. Mm-hmm. If I have more money than somebody else, I might feel better than somebody who has less, or the other way around. If I have less, then I might feel better than. And it really depends on the messages that we grew up with. And so if you grew up with scarcity or poverty, then your tendency is to view yourself as not good enough or less than. And if those scarcity words or attitudes were used, and if you had the better than, then your parents probably either showed it or talked about that we're better than. And so that's how I see it showing up, or the perspective that, or the middle ground, which is neither. Which is mm-hmm. people who just see money as equal, and we're all just, some people make more money because they're better at it.
I see. And then bringing all of that back into a relationship dynamic, I'm sure you've seen this create some conflict. What are some common trends when it comes to conflict around money and conflict in relationships due to wealth and money?
So I think conflict in general in relationships with money comes from values again. So if mm-hmm. one partner has a spending value or a blueprint of spending or a blueprint of saving, or and the other has the opposite, then that's going to collide. Their values are going to collide, and they're not going to agree on what to do with their finances. And there might also be a dominant partner who maybe they watched their father or their mother be in charge of the money, and the
Mm-hmm.
partner either goes along with that or doesn't like that and feels controlled. And so that's another aspect of it. There's also people who grow up to hide things. They hide money, or they hide purchases, or they lie about what they're doing with the money, and that can cause a lot of conflict as well in relationships.
Okay. Now that we've identified some of the common conflict, what are ways that we can address that's going on in our relationships, and B, how can we, in a healthy manner, manage all of that types of natural conflict that may arise?
Well, I think just addressing it, being honest and sharing that if you're the one who is feeling less powerful in the relationship in terms of the finances, then you're probably the one who's going to talk about it, because the one who's feeling more powerful it's juicy, and it doesn't need to be discussed. But the one who's feeling less confident and less powerful, it's a good idea to be able to approach the partner and tell them, I'd like to have more of an equal relationship around money, and talk about being honest and open and transparent about our finances. Because most people in relationships, there are three things that couples struggle with, and money is number one. Now, money's up there: money, sex, and children. And and I think it's because we all come from such different backgrounds with our values around money and our blueprint.
That makes a lot of sense, because I was also going to ask you if, in situations where people come from different socioeconomic backgrounds, does that have a major effect in the relationship when it comes to a lot of things? And it sounds like it does, in terms of our value system, in terms of how we view the world, and right down to how we manage money. So now that we've kind of taken a look at the family dynamic and how money plays a role in that, does comparison between other people play a huge role in our mentality around money, and in how much money we think is quote unquote enough? Well,
it's not a yes or no answer. I think it's really dependent on each individual's case and person. But I would say that my experience is that if somebody doesn't feel worthy, or if they have low self-esteem because they're comparing themselves with others, then absolutely money is going to be part of that. Because people see money as who they are, and they just like they see their body as who they are, or their clothes, or their house, or their job, and that all encompasses the ego that says that if you don't have enough, you're not good enough. But the truth is that if you really dug down and understood the whole human process, is that we all are essentially good, and that money is just acts as an addition to enhance our lives and not make us who we are.
Okay. And it's funny you say that, because my next question was, do some people associate money as a need, and do some people associate it as just something that's there, which I think you kind of touched on with the different personality types. But if you could comment again on, do most people feel like we need it, or do most people feel like it's just something that's a part of life?
I think it really depends on how people view. I mean, we need money. We need money to survive. Like Maslow's hierarchy of needs suggests that we need water, food, clothing, and shelter in order to go to the next level of the hierarchy, which is eventually getting us to self-actualization. If we don't have the need of food and water and shelter, then we can't move up to the next one, which is security.
Mm-hmm.
And so security, yes, we need money. For sure we need money. And do some people, I think what it is that some people just don't, they're so naturally attracted to earning and creating money that they don't think about it.
Right.
And I think the people that are, it's more challenging for them to earn money or to have money, or they just don't have a great relationship with money. So it goes away quickly, or they're in debt because they don't have a good relationship with themselves and with money. So those people are more, they feel more needy and scarce about having money, whereas somebody else who feels abundant, who has an abundant mentality, they just know that the money's going to be there and they don't worry about it. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. So I guess my final question for you is to kind of tie this all together is how can we have a healthy relationship with money and address and be aware of our relationship with money so that we can have healthier relationships with the people closest to us, like our family, our spouse, our loved ones?
Well, I think that if you're in a family or in a relationship, you've probably heard from your family or your spouse if you have an unhealthy relationship with money. So that might be one way to become aware of it. The other one is just looking at your situation. Are you in debt up to your eyeballs? Do you worry about money? Do you lose sleep around money? Do you have savings? Do you have a healthy relationship with money? And if you don't, then that's the way to assess it is just to look at your situation. Mm-hmm. And are you living outside of your means, or do you live within your means? Okay. And there's lots of ways to correct that. And I think communication is number one when it comes to having a healthy relationship with your partner around money. I think that it doesn't really matter what your situation is now, as long as you can talk about it and be open to each other about your feelings and thoughts around the money and the situation. And I hired a financial coach years ago because I was this ostrich spender. I was an ostrich spender saver. And so I would go into these patterns of I would save, spend, and then I wouldn't look at the bills. And it really got me into trouble. And so years ago, I hired a financial coach, and just the simple tools that she gave me of being completely transparent with what I was doing and having a weekly check-in with her. And she had access to all my accounts, and I could only spend with cash. And it really helped me to become more responsible. It helped me to spend the money that I have. Then I felt it was a lot of fun because I had all this money that I could go and spend within my means. And I ended up getting way out of debt, and I have more money in the bank than I've ever had in my whole life. And I feel better about myself. And I have a good relationship with my partner because I have a good relationship with money. So I think it's really important to become more responsible and get a hold of your spending and saving and money relationship.
I agree. And I couldn't agree more that a good plan, a good financial plan, can give you the tools you need to be comfortable with money and to be at ease with money. Yeah. So again, Leanne, thank you for taking a deeper dive with me into the subject of wealth, money, and relationships. And I'm sure all the viewers out there thank you as well.